What's up, Dandelions? Winter anime of 2023 has officially ended for the season. We have skipped straight over spring weather-wise and jumped straight into summer. However, the spring 2023 of anime has just begun, and we're still in the very beginning stages. I don't even have my 3 episodes yet to talk to you guys about, though I am working on vague impressions of episode 1 of a collection of different anime that I'm interested in. So today, since I don't have a specific anime that I want to talk about, I thought I would do something really wild and talk about art. Yes, that's right. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video. You're not going to see my lovely, charming face the entire time, at least not with all of my different expressions. But it is going to be me talking. You might even get to see me drawing, and it'll be a little viewpoint of what I do during the art process in some of these videos. So lately I've been playing around with the idea of what would happen if I tried not to zoom in during a project. I am a digital artist. I did start off as a traditional artist. I think every kid, at least in my generation, did, because tablets were virtually non-existent when I was a kid, so pen and paper was where we started, and, well, the digital art was only a dreamscape where you used a mouse and paint, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well at all. But now I'm a digital artist, and one of the best things about digital art is the ability to zoom into my heart's content. This allows me to get deep down into the nitty-gritty different details, but it does mean that I sometimes get caught up in those little details that will get lost as you zoom out of a painting. And yes, sure, I can do the hyper HD style stuff where, my viewer can also zoom in, but they also have to care enough about the painting to zoom in on it to begin with, right? So I thought, what would happen if I did a little project where I didn't zoom in at all? Now, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this also has to do with you guys. When I'm doing my YouTube videos, I find that straight up time lapses, which is attached to pretty much every digital art program that I know about, they condense down really, really far. Like this entire thing, I currently have the recording. I recorded this on OBS, and I have this on 8 times speed, and it is 5 minutes long. If I were to do a speed paint of this artwork instead, it would be maybe 3 minutes at the longest. I don't think I've ever seen a painting go beyond 3 minutes. It's usually around 3 minutes. Maybe I would get a 5-minute painting if I spent a really, 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 really long time on it. So you don't really get to see. I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like the time-lapse function is amazing if you're doing the big, wide, huge canvases with all of the backgrounds and just gorgeous landscapes, and you get to see something that would normally take hours and hours and hours just condensed into a few minutes. But in my case, my artwork usually takes maybe 3 hours max to complete each piece. Sometimes longer if I'm taking my time and taking a lot of breaks in between. Therefore, doing a time lapse doesn't always help too much. I can't do the longer run videos like this one because I would need to draw 5 or 6 different images for each video. And so then I was like, well, okay, what if I just recorded it? As you can see, I have that ability. But going back to being a digital artist and the habit that almost all of us digital artists have of zooming in. We zoom in, we turn our canvas, we get deep down into the details. And what happens when you're doing that and you're recording it and then you speed that up is you have, it's like a dance. You see the canvas going in and out and in and out and in and out. In fact, after this, I'm going to show you a little bit of what it looks like when I do allow myself to zoom in with an artwork. And it can be a little jarring. I think some people really like it, and if the zooming and the turning isn't too frequent, it can be enjoyable to view. But when an artist gets into the zone, or at least when I get into the zone, sometimes I'm not thinking about what it's going to look like when it is sped up. And I know that I've in the past tried to go back and watch my videos after I've, recorded the whole thing, and I'm like, I can't watch this. This gives me motion sickness. which makes it pretty much useless to use in a video for all of you. Maybe you'll have to tell me if you're watching it, and when I show you bits and pieces of the recorded artwork, zoomed in and zoomed out, you'll have to tell me if it's worth watching and if I can just, maybe it's only me that gets motion sickness from it. But either way, it was an excellent reason to try this out. And in this photo, I think I did accidentally zoom in like once, which you might have seen a little while ago, but for the most part, I put my artwork on the biggest it could be. It pretty much took up the majority of my Huey on Canvas screen. I am blessed to have a fairly large canvas to work with. It's not the biggest in the world, but it's, I mean, she's pretty big. I'm pretty happy. Like, she's bigger. She's about the size, once I just have my workspace to work in, the workspace is about the same size that I would have were I working in a notebook or a sketchbook. That being said, after doing this project, I now understand quite a bit why some artists who are traditional artists will get the huge canvases. I used to always wonder, like, why do they work so big? It's because they can't zoom in, I'm guessing. Like, I think it's because they can't zoom in. And now I have finished with the version where I did not zoom in except for that one mistake. And here, I've gone back down to my base sketch, and now I am allowing myself to zoom in. One of the differences is I can officially go back and add in all of those details that I didn't have the ability to do before, either because I'm not skilled enough or I just didn't have enough of a canvas. I do like that I could go back in and add more definition to the lips, definition to the eyes. I fixed the face a little bit. As I was doing this though, I did notice that the canvas that I was working on was not the exact same as the canvas that I was recording with. That made things a little bit more difficult as usual. So I did some adjusting, so you might see the dimensions of the head get wider and thinner and wider and thinner a little bit through the video. That is because I had some adjustments to make with the canvas in OBS. This is just the kind of thing that I've been working on to try and figure out, like, what is the best way to get my artwork from my canvas to all of you in a process video. And I did, even now, like, I think I started out with this going, okay, I'm gonna zoom in when I absolutely feel like I have to, but otherwise I want to try and still keep my moving around of the canvas and my zooms to a minimum. So that, again, I'm trying to avoid that seasickness look. And viewing back on it now, I think I did a pretty good job. At least this far into the video, I was able to, again, go back and add some definition to the flowers. I think I may have even changed a little bit on the headpiece. Changed around, like, what was flowers and what was leaves. This was a really good experience for me because it allowed me to, one, see what I'm capable of doing if I don't zoom in at all. I think that was really cool. If I had not chosen to do bunny ears for this piece, I would have, I think, had quite a bit of an easier time because I would have been able to make the head in general a lot larger. And speaking of this piece, I do feel like I need to let you guys know this is not a 100% original creation of mine. I was using references from photos I saw off of Pinterest. I had saved it on my Pinterest board, and it was a model dressed up very similarly to this character, especially including the cranes and the flowers in her hair. The color patterns and some of the decorations are my own. I did change those around, but mostly this was more of an experiment of zooming and less of a character creation experiment for me. So I allowed myself to do more of a study. I do enjoy going into Pinterest and finding models on there to then try and draw. Sometimes I will just use the pose or use inspiration from a bunch of different models, and other times I will try to see what would happen. Like, I will give myself a mental test of, like, okay, what if this was a commission? What if this person came to me and was like, hey, I would like you to make a bust commission of me dressed like this, which is a commission type that I do get. And that's really fun because it allows me to practice taking my art style and applying it to somebody dressed up. In fact, I used to be absolutely terrified of commissions, and I love them now. There is nothing that makes me happier than when someone comes up to me and goes, okay, Lulu, look. So I just started playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? Okay, so it's not really Dungeons and Dragons. It's like Dungeons and Dragons, and of course then they're going to tell me everything about the game they just started playing, and I'm going to soak that up because I love it. Please tell me all about your interests. This is not sarcastic. I love hearing it. And once they're done with that, they're going to tell me about their character. And then they're going to go, so Lulu, can you draw my character? And I am going to go, absolutely. Do you have any reference photos you would like me to go off of? And sometimes they'll just be like, me, take a picture of me. So I'll take a picture of them. Or they'll send me like, hey, I'm thinking of this vibe or this vibe. And I'm able to take their character and breathe life into it for them. And it's like, I thought that I would hate doing stuff like that, especially cosplay ones, especially when people are like, hey, I'm cosplaying this character, will you draw me? I thought I was going to be terrified of doing them because I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna mess this up. I'm gonna mess this up so bad. But what I've discovered is I love it. I love seeing all of the passion that people bring to the table when they have created something, but maybe they don't know how to draw, or they haven't put skill points into art, or they do and they just like my art style enough to see what their character would look like if I were to draw it. And then I'm able to capture that inspiration that they have given me. And it's a really cool feeling. It feels like a little personal collaboration that I'm being paid to do. So that's always fun. I love commissions. I didn't think I would, but I absolutely did. And again, I'm impressed with myself, really, because I did allow myself to zoom in on some of the details. But here I am. I'm at least this far in the video, I am doing a pretty good job of not zooming in a whole bunch. And that is something that I really wanted to work on. One of the things I would like to do in the future, because this is turning into kind of a chit-chat check-in style piece, is I am writing a children's book called Little Joy, and I would like to have illustrations of that playing in the background while I or someone I know narrate the chapters or the little versions of each story. And to do that, I need to really nail down exactly how I want to show you guys the artwork, to perform the artwork in a YouTube video for you. And there are all kinds of different ways to do this. I've also thought about going and looking up public domain stories or just legends and lore in general, and maybe learning a little bit more about some of my favorite mythology stories. That might be fun. Or just finding public domain chapters and reading a chapter and illustrating. I think I've talked about this before in previous chit-chat check-ins. But I have discovered that takes a lot of time, effort, and energy. And YouTube in general takes a lot of time, effort, and energy. And it's totally and 100% worth it. It's got me watching anime more. Honestly, it's got me reading more too, somehow. I'm reading more, I'm watching more stuff, I'm consuming more stories, getting back into passions I thought that I had left on the roadside long ago. And it's allowing me to really expand where I want to be in my art. What you're seeing here is I'm playing around with different types of shading, because there's just so many different ways you can shade a piece. The one in the previous section where I didn't zoom in at all, I was trying out a method of where you add in the shading first and then you bring the color kind of like underneath or on top of the shading. I don't like that too much. I think the main reason I don't like it too much is I don't quite understand how to do it yet. This is the method that I'm finding that I like the most, which is where after I do the flat colors, I'll go back in with almost a darker, almost a shady color, and I will outline it, and then I'm going to smooth all of that out. I'm just going to blend those darker colors right on into it, at this point, the ears, and later you're going to see me take a lighter color, and I'm also going to blend that in. And this is my way of adding a little bit of dimension, a little bit of texture, just a little bit more oomph to the drawing itself. And sometimes I have to do it multiple times because, well, one, I'm still relatively new to digital art, and two, I mess up a lot. But then once I've done this to pretty much like everything, I'll go back with kind of a flat shading. And then I'll shade the entire piece as if the sun were looking down on it. If you happen to be a digital artist as well, and you know kind of what I'm talking about, and you know of ways I could do this more effectively or to improve this technique, I would love to hear from you, because right now I'm just kind of watching a bunch of other YouTube videos and trying to learn as best I can in these sequences. And honestly, these different little experiments, these what-if games, they are helping me out a lot. I am really enjoying that it exists. So I guess, in a very, very big way, I have you guys to thank. So thank you. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. Thank you for paying attention to me. Thank you for filling the void of needing someone to talk at. No, I have friends that allow me to talk at them relentlessly if I need them to. But it's also nice to have a little place, a little corner of the internet where I can be myself as well and can just fangirl or fangasm about whatever it is that I'm currently interested in. My next video will very likely be more anime oriented again. This one, I'm trying to decide whether I want to do, hey, these are my impressions of episode 1 of a bunch of different anime. Like, there's one that I thought was going to have that I had high hopes for, that I didn't think I was going to enjoy, but I thought it was going to be very good. I was wrong. It turns out it's just, I can't watch it. I did not get past episode 1, which is rare for me. And there have been one or two others that have been like, wow, I thought this was going to be basic AF, and it wasn't. And I'm super impressed by that. Either way, if I choose to do my impressions of episode 1 of Insert Anime here, that'll be the next anime. Otherwise, the next video I make is going to be my first spring 2023, my entire everything that I know or care about of this anime based on the first 3 episodes of Insert Anime here. That was a mouthful. Sorry guys, I'm trying not to edit this as much as possible. Either way, I would love to hear what you think of this style of video, and if you've gotten this far, maybe drop a comment saying pink purple ponies. Why? Because it's fun to type. Either way, thanks dandelions. This has been a pretty relaxed LuuluSoul signing out. Okay, thanks, bye.